Hey everybody, so now with this one I'll be finally caught up. Last week we took a 2-day trip to Normandy and Mont St. Michel. I like Normandy a lot because it wasn't just castles and cathedrals, and also because I've spent a long time studying World War II history. First place we went was Pont Harp, which was an emplacement between Utah and Omaha beaches that was stormed by 300 US Rangers during the D-Day landings. It was important to take because the artillery could be fired on both Utah and Omaha beaches. The site has remained virtually untouched since June 8, 1944. All the holes and ditches here are made just from Allied shelling of the point before it was stormed by the Rangers. The next place we stopped was Omaha Beach, the site of the most resistance during the D-Day landings. Omaha Beach is also the location of the American Cemetery, where they've buried over 10,000 US soldiers who died during the D-Day landings and the months afterwards. Standing in the cemetery, you just realize it's a lot of crosses, and trying to imagine just if every one of those crosses was a person, there'd be a lot of people standing there. The next morning we visited Pegasus Bridge, which was a bridge taken the night before the D-Day landings to help with supply trains. The original bridge is no longer across the river, but they've taken it and put it here in this field. As you can see, there are actually bullet holes and shrapnel marks that were made during the taking of the bridge. The British soldiers that took the bridge were landed in these gliders. These gliders are made out of basically plywood and cardboard. I think they have a factory safety of maybe like 0.3. These black and white stripes were painted on all the Allied aircraft for the D-Day landings. This was to prevent friendly fire accidents. However, the Allies knew that if they painted these on weeks ahead of time, German aircraft would see them and then they might copy it. So instead they waited till the day before the landings and they painted 90 tons of black and white paint on thousands of aircraft on one day. The last place we went was Mont St. Michel, which I think might be one of the most unique places we've been to. Mont St. Michel is built on an island a little bit offshore, so during high tide it's almost completely surrounded by water. First we toured the monastery that's built on the top of the island. Mont St. Michel was not only built as a monastery, but also as a strategic military point. When the tide comes in, it ends up coming in almost like rivers, which can cut people off on the beach if they're not careful. And apparently several people die every year. It's not morbid or anything. After we toured the monastery, I walked along the walls and then went into the town and explored a lot of very small alleyways. Some of which were too small for me to actually just walk through. Normally I had to turn sideways. This next weekend we'll be visiting the Loire Valley in Angers, and then the weekend after that, a couple of us are going on fall break. We're going to Chamonix, which is in the French Alps. So hopefully I have some interesting stuff for that. A goodbye!